right. It's working. Hope so. So let's start. Welcome to this meetup. Today's topic is package development in Laravel. We will talk about what these packages are, why we are developing them, and how to do it with some live coding examples. So let's do a quick introduction. My name is Daniel Werner. I'm a senior software developer. I'm an owner and lead developer at WDev. I'm a clean code and TDD enthusiast. You can find me on Mastodon or on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me anytime. So let's see. What are PHP packages? Those are basically a set of functionality packed together in a composer package. This could be public or private and downloadable from packages for the public ones, or private packages, Git or Satis for the private ones. Why should we create packages? Basically, we can build reusable components. We can build a set of functionality which we plan to use on different applications, or we do some cool software what we think it's worth sharing with the open source community, and we create a public package. So how to start with package development? I usually like to start from a template. There is this Laravel package boilerplate.com site where you can fill out some form, basically the vendor name, package name, that stuff, and you can download a zip with the boilerplate code that you can start with. Then we develop our package, right? We push it up to GitHub, and when it's done, we connect our GitHub repo with the packages. I'd like to talk about a bit about versioning packages. So versioning is done basically using Git tags. So you create a tag, you add the name as a version, and the composer will recognize it. We use semantic versioning. So we have a major version, we have the minor version, and the patch version. So the major version, we increase that when we do some breaking changes. So we do some new features, refactor something which is not compatible with the previous version. Then we increase the major number. And I would like to mention that when we don't yet reach the stable version, so we are at 0 point something, then the minor version is considered as a breaking change. So you increase the minor version, composer will treat that as a breaking change. So the minor version number, it means we created some new features or we did some bigger refactoring, but without breaking changes. So it should work as it worked before, but some major update we did, then we increased the minor version. And the last one, the patch version, is like minor fixes, bug fixes, or wording changes, or something which is really just a small thing. So how we use it with Composer? Packages can be served from different sources. First is the local folder, which would be interesting when we develop the package. I will show you later how to do that. This can be served from a Git repository. This can be served from the packages repository as well, or from private packages for the private packages, and from Satis. What is Satis? It is a static packages repository generator. So basically, you can generate a bunch of folders and files, and you can put it up on your server, and you can use it as a repository for your private packages. Basically, I think that's how Nova works. So then you can add authentication to that server, or use that for private or public purposes. So what Laravel specific packages gives us? So it gives us routes, it gives us controllers, we can use database migrations, we can have publishable assets that can be blade files, assets like CSS files, images, JavaScript, or Vue components, and then we publish those into our project. We can have config files to make our package more flexible and more configurable. Service providers and all the other goodies that Laravel provides us, we can mostly use in Laravel packages. So how we develop Laravel packages? First of all, as I mentioned earlier, we create a local repository with a symlink. And that's good because if you symlink it, then if you try something or develop your package, you will see your changes immediately in your project. You don't have to push it up to GitHub, do composer update on every change. So basically you do the change in your package, and right away you can see the result in the project which is using that package. We use Orchestra Test Bench for test-driven development. So we publish views, JavaScript, and assets to the test project. That's a bit of a painful point because that needs to be done over and over again. So you do something, change something in the JavaScript, you have to publish it again. And what I like to do in these cases, I do the initial version in the package, publish it, and then work on that part in the project. And when I finished, then I just copy back the result to avoid this publish over and over again. Documentation, that's important, especially for the public packages, but for the private ones as well, because we know how to use our package right now, but tomorrow, the next week, or the next month, we will thank ourselves if we did documentation. At least a README file with basic instructions, how to install, how to use the basic functionalities, and the changelog. That's also important to know what have been done between the versions. I like to use a versioning helper package, which is called RMT, basically release management. And that can automatically create the tag. It can automatically generate the changelog. It can write the version into the composer JSON. So I like the tool, but it works if you just manually create a tag, push it up, it will work. Or you can use on GitHub, there is a new release functionality. You can use that as well. That's up to you. And write consistent code style. That's important. So use the tools like PHP CS, PHP CS Fixer, PHP Mess Detector to produce high quality output, especially again for the public packages, but for the private ones, it's important as well. So it's coding time. We will do a simple analytics package, basically to check the page views and to have an overview, basically the count of those page views. Do that package, and we will import that package into our project and see how all this works. So first of all, I would like to show you this Laravel package boilerplate thing. So here we can choose if we want to create a PHP package or a Laravel package. We fill in those things like the vendor name, the package name, the author, those things. And we can go to the download and we get a zip file where we have the pre-configured package, and we can start it. I have that already here. So this is more or less what we get, what you get from this boilerplate. We get config file. These folders are pre-created by me, so these are not in that boilerplate. We get a facade. We get a class for that facade. And we get the service provider, which is important for us. And I'd like to just show what I did, what I changed in the composer JSON, because when I created that boilerplate, it supported only Laravel 8 and Test Bench 6.0. So I added 9 and 10 to support newer versions, and also the corresponding versions of the Orchestra Test Bench. Basically, that's what I modified here. And also I added the PHP unit XML, but this is really a basic configuration. Some of you were on our previous meetup where we showed how to do that easily. And I will show you just this base test case what we are using here. So as I mentioned, we are using Orchestra Test Bench. Here, that package gives us most of the Laravel functionality that we can use it in the tests as well. And here in the setup, I added the migrate so that we can do all the migrations, and we can use database tests as well. I will show you that. So let's start. We wanted to like track the page views, so let's create a table. The unfortunate thing is that you cannot use PHP Artisan in the packages themselves. So what I usually do, I go to a project like this, and I do these artisan make things to default classes here and just copy them over. We go PHP artisan make, artisan make migration. And here's our migration. Got it. Put it here. Vector. So we have the page views table. We want string here where we store the path, what we tracked, and let's add another one for the user agent, and we allow that to be nullable. Okay, and let's go back to our service provider, because these are where the interesting settings are. So this part we can set up to load specific files from our package. For example, translations, if we want to load views from our package, if we want to load migrations, and if we want to load routes from our package. In this case, we will uncomment this because we want to use migrations from the package. And for the routes, I will show you a different method. I don't like to add them here because the other way gives you more flexibility, but I will talk about it later when we are at that part. And here is the part where we define what should be published from our package. So in this case, only the config, but we can set the views, we can set the assets, we can set the translation files to be published to our. Basically, when we issue PHP Artisan vendor publish and we choose our package, then these would be published what we define here in the service provider. Okay, so we have the table. Let's create a model for it. Make model page view. And this should live here. Put it here. Okay. We have the model. We want to have some fillable fields like the path and also the user agent. Okay. So now we have a model, we have the table, and let's start with writing the test. A new PHP unit test. That will be the analytics test. Okay. And here we will not extend the PHP unit's default test case. As I mentioned earlier, we want to extend our test case because there we use the orchestra test bench and we use our migrations as well. Let's go back and create the test. Test, it can track page views. Okay. Here we need to define a route because we want to test if we hit a route, then we get a page view. We can define it here. Do the facade, a get route. It can be test path, whatever. and we'll return hello test. Okay, and if we try to do a get request to this test path, it will return if everything goes well. Let's see. And there'll be PHP unit. Yeah, it's okay, it passed, but basically now, right now, what we asserted is that our test route is working. So nothing else. Let's create our middleware. Go to project, artisan, make middleware analytics. Okay, middleware analytics. So here we have our middleware. And let's do something in here. So we create page view here, create, and to the path, we use the path from the request. And for the user agent, use again user agent from the request. Good. Let's go back to our test and use our new middleware on this route. Analytics. And let's assert database has page views, and it has the path test. Let's see if that worked. Yeah, looks like it's working. We can go further and create our controller and do the counting of our page views there. Let's go to our other project, PHP artisan controller. Our new controller here. I paste it here. So we have our controller, and extend it from the routing controller. And we can have index function in here. Okay. Then now we are at the routes thing that I mentioned earlier. So I like to do in this class, I create static method routes and do the routes configuration here. Why I do this? Because then I can place this method call wherever I want in my application. So I can do behind the authentication. I can put them in an admin panel part or something like this. If we would load the routes from the package, we will get it as they are defined. But this way we can add the prefix, add whatever middleware we want. This gives us some more flexibility. So we define a route, get page views, and we want to use our page views controller and the index method. Okay, let's create a test again. Create a new test, PHP unit, page view controller test. Again, we don't want to extend this. We want our base class to test it can show page view count, something like this. Here we will use our routes, so analytics routes, to have them defined, and we do a get request on the page views route, and we assert it's okay, then it should work. Let's see. Okay, we ran 2 tests, 3 assertions, everything's good, but again, we did not assert basically too much. So let's assert something. Let's create some page views. With some path p1, and let's assert that we see a 1 in the response. And if we run this now, it should fail. Yeah, we have one failure because asserting that nothing contains 1, it's failing. So let's fix this in our controller. Let's just return page view count here. And if we go back to our test, you can see it now passes. We can just do another one, and now it fails again. So we can be sure that we are checking this, what we are creating here. And if I put 2 here, it should pass again. So cool. We are done. We created the tracking middleware. We created the controller. We can show the page views. Let's see how we can use this in our application. So here in this application is basic Laravel install. Nothing else is in here. Let's open composer.json. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we can define repositories here, and we can define it to use a local folder for this package. We will just do a dev minimum stability because our package is in development right now. So we define repositories, multiple of them. Okay. And we define the type as path, and we give it the URL is the folder beside this one. And here's the trick. We add the options symlink to true. And if everything goes well, we can install this package from that folder. Let's see. Composer require. And let's go back a little bit just to show you it's installing the package, but symlinking it from that folder. Now I can show it as well in the vendor how it looks like. We can see it here as well, that here this is a link. So basically these are the same files that we worked with in the other project. Okay, let's use our package. Open the kernel and add our middleware to, for example, to the web group. Let's see what's happened. We add analytics here, and not to forget to run the migrations. So it's created our page views table. And let's go to the project and see if it still works. It does. That's good. let's see if we have the database. We have the table here. We have one page view. I do a refresh. Let's see it again. We have two of them. That's good. And let's try the page views. Not found, okay, because we didn't use the routes. Let's go back. And in the routes / web, we add our routes from the package. Let's see if it works now. It does. We have 3 page views. But if I refresh this, we have 4 page views. But actually, we don't want to track the page where we check how many page views we have. So let's do something a little bit differently. Go back to our code and open the kernel and remove this middleware from here. So we don't want the whole web group to use this middleware. Let's just add an alias. It's easier to use that way. This would be this class. And if we go back to our routes file, then we will create a group here and use our middleware here. Okay. And let's put in this group only the base route and exclude our package. And that's an example when I told you that it's more flexible this way, but because you can then put your package routes wherever you want. So open it, see if it still works. It works. So it didn't update. That's good. Let's see if we go to the main page, then it updates. So it looks good. Okay. So basically we are done with our package. Let's see how to publish it. Let's go back to our package and let's commit our changes. Nice commit message, right? Okay. Now let's push it and go back to the code. And we can use now this RMT tool that I mentioned in the presentation that does some work for us. So it says that we don't have a release yet. So if it's the first release, we say yes. This we want the major version. This is the first release. I mean, okay. So it created 1.00 tag for us. It did a release, and it asks if we want to publish the release. We want to publish it. It will basically push it up, and it's not working. Okay, it will not push. We'll push it manually. But basically, now we can check this, that we have this commit. We have a changelog. It generated the changelog for us, and it can put the commit messages in there. So probably not the best, but if you have some descriptive commit messages, that's good. It can be configured to not put them here. If you have just vip, 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 then you don't want that, but you can also write some comment to the versions. So it will generate the changelog. It will add the tag, and it can also update the composer.json. We can push it up now, and we should have it here as well. Meetup branch. See if we have the text as well. We don't have it because it's not pushing it by default. But anyway, if you add the credentials to the tool, then it will push up the tag as well. And how we connect this with packages, we want to get our URL, we go to packages, we go submit, and we put our repository URL here. It checks, and you can submit. And you can also turn on auto update. So when you push up new version, you push up a new tag, then packages will automatically from time to time update itself. So that would be it. I'd like to show you some more useful resources. Of course, the Laravel documentation, it has a whole section on the package development. So it's worth reading this. It's a lot of stuff you can do with packages. The laravelpackage.com, it's a tutorial page. It has also a lot of tutorials regarding the package development. We have this boilerplate generator site, but also Spatie have some boilerplate repositories, so you can use that as well if you'd like to. My blog has some posts regarding it, and I plan to write about this stuff and check that as well. And I will just show you some of my packages. So this is the Laravel schema crawler, which can generate an ER diagram from the database. When you don't have models or the stuff, then it can generate it from the database itself. Or I have Laravel data grid. This is basically an admin panel list tool. We have document templates package, which can create PDFs, mailables, which can be editable, and you can put placeholders in them. So that can be used for mailing, invoicing, that stuff. I have a lot of analytics, which is a little bit more complex version that we did, but it's still a light version that's for my own purposes. It's good enough. So that would be it. Any questions?
Hashing kernel in the packaging that commented out section is it in the template already?
You mean the service provider, right? Yes, that's in there already. Yes. Any more questions from our YouTube audience? No? Then that's it. Thank you. So if you can still hear me, because I see some error here in the YouTube. Okay, we have one question from us. Go ahead. So when we publish the package, maybe make us symlink. Okay, so when we publish the package as a symlink, should that be deleted? Yes. Good question. So when we publish the package and we want to install the real version from the packages, then we want to remove this part from the composer JSON for the repositories. Yes. And then maybe you install the package from packages like any other. Yes. Yes, that's correct. If you remove that part, then you can install it from the packagist. Any other questions? Mark sent us a thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. All right, then. Thank you for joining, and hope see you next time as well. All right, I will stop the stream. Bye.